Calling all safety pros, risk leaders, and training champions. If your caffeine game doesn't match your mission, you're sipping from the wrong cup. At Safe Start Strategies, we've brewed up something bold, professionally themed mugs built for those who lead with purpose. Whether you're writing incident reports or running tabletop exercises, your mug should speak your language. Emergency ops fuels for responders on the move. Train safe, lead loud for trainers making a difference. Risk analysis mode on for those crunching numbers and making it safer for the rest. These aren't conference freebies, they're confidence on your desk. Great for certification gifts, team recognition, or just owning your safety swagger. Find your mission mug now at TikTok Shop. Just search Safe Start Strategies #4, letter U. Lead the change, lift the mug, let the message show.
Welcome to Voices of Safety, where we highlight real voices, real risks with real impact, and where every story has something to teach us. Today's episode is a powerful double feature. We're checking the temperature, literally and figuratively. First, we dig into OSHA's newly released 2025 Heat Injury and Illness Prevention Rule, examining what it means for workplaces across industries and the frontline workers most impacted. You'll hear how heat stress isn't just physical, it's systemic. We explore the controls, policies, and PPE that employers must now prioritize to protect workers from rising risks. But we're not stopping there. We're also turning inward with a root cause model that rarely gets personal attention, the 5 whys. In this episode, I ask 5 questions to explore the heart of safety leadership. I also ask each of these questions whys from my own journey, and then I turn the challenge over to you because investigating your own purpose may be the most powerful safety strategy of all. Let's get started. What does the map reveal about heat stress? High exposure regions include parts of the West, California, Arizona, the Great Plains, and including Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Alaska, where outdoor work is both common and physically demanding. Urban areas also show elevated risks due to the heat island effect, which can raise temperatures by up to 27 degrees Fahrenheit during the day compared to surrounding rural zones. Southern states consistently show higher percentages of outdoor workers, aligning with longer, hotter seasons and increased vulnerability to heat related illness. Why does this matter? Well, between 1992 and 2002, 986 workers died from heat exposure, with construction alone accounting for 34% of those deaths, despite making up just 6% of the workforce. The map helps identify geographically hotspots where heat stress interventions like shaded rest areas, hydration protocols, and PPE are most urgently needed. This visual isn't just about where people work, it's about how climate, labor, and equity intersect. A U.S. map created by the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows the percentage of each county's workforce engaged in outdoor intensive occupations between 2018 and 2022. These jobs that are included are agriculture, forestry, fishing and hunting, construction and utilities, mining, oil and gas, extraction, emergency services and law enforcement, delivery and transportation, landscaping and groundskeeping. So, what's in this rule and why does it matter? Let's break it down into 5 key components that every safety leader should know. For number one, you have written heat stress or heat safety plans. Employers in high risk industries like construction, agriculture, transportation, and manufacturing are now required to develop written plans that proactively address heat stress. This would include site specific risk assessments, emergency response procedures, worker training and acclimatization timelines. Number two, heat index monitoring. This rule mandates real time monitoring of ambient heat conditions using metrics like the National Weather Service's heat index. When the thresholds are breached, employers must activate pre planned controls like mandatory breaks, access to cool drinking water, rotational work schedules. Number three, medical surveillance and reporting. Employers must track and report heat related injury and illness, enabling data collection across industries. This would include heat related illness logs, incident investigations, referral procedures for medical evaluations. Number four, PPE and engineering controls. Gone are the days of optional cooling vests, though this rule highlights required PPE and physical modifications to reduce heat strain. Invest shaded rest areas, ventilation upgrades to enclosed spaces, cooling garments, and hydration stations. Number five, protecting vulnerable workers. Critically, OSHA places emphasis on equitable protection for workers who are new to heat intensive jobs, young, aging, and medically sensitive, non native English speakers, or from underserved communities. This focus aims on correcting long standing gaps in protection and visibility. Why does this matter? This rule isn't just regulatory, it's transformational. It acknowledges climate change as a worker safety issue and centers vulnerability, prevention, and worker dignity. It's a, it's a call to action for safety professionals, not just to comply, but to lead. To check the temperature of our workplaces and our own commitment to protecting those most at risk. The 2025 OSHA Heat Injury and Illness Prevention Rule is reshaping how employers protect workers from hazardous heat exposure, indoors and outdoors. And here's how each control category is impacted. Engineering controls, these are the physical modifications to reduce heat stress. Ventilation and cooling systems, employers must install or upgrade fans, air conditioning, or heat shields in high risk areas. Heat isolation, equipment generating radiant heat must be shielded or isolated. Climate controlled technologies, especially in indoor environments exceeding 80 degrees Fahrenheit, employers must implement cooling measures. Administrative controls, these are procedural changes to reduce exposure. The work rest cycles or schedules at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, mandatory 15-minute breaks every 2 hours are required. Scheduling adjustments, high intensity tasks should be scheduled during cooler hours. Utilizing a buddy system or observations, employers must monitor workers for signs of heat illness, especially during high heat triggers. Training, supervisors and workers must be trained to recognize symptoms and respond to emergencies. PPE and tools, personal protective equipment must now meet stricter standards. You can utilize cooling garments. Employers, they may need to provide heat reflective or evaporative cooling gear. You must make sure it's a proper fit. There's a proper fit mandate. As of January 2025, PPE must properly fit all workers, addressing the long-standing issues for women and diverse body types. Tool selections, tools that reduce physical strain or allow remote operations may be favored to minimize heat exposure. Acclimatization, this is now a formal requirement. Gradual workload increases. New or returning workers must be gradually introduced or reintroduced to heat over a course of 7 to 14 days. You must have written protocols. Employers must document the acclimatization plans in their heat injury and illness prevention plan. Emergency acclimatization. Sudden heat waves require rapid implementation of acclimatization strategies. Monitoring. Real time tracking is essential. Heat index or wet bulb globe temperatures. Employers must monitor either the heat index or wet globe temperature to determine risk levels. Indoor monitoring plans. For indoor areas, especially those exceeding 80 degrees Fahrenheit, employers must identify and monitor high risk zones. Wearable tech. Some industries are adopting sensors to track worker fatigue and heat exposure. Record keeping. You must document or record your monitoring data. Um, must be retained for at least 6 months. Today, we're uncovering purpose with the 5 Whys root cause model. We're peeling back the layers of our why as safety professionals using a tool that's usually reserved for incident investigations, the 5 Why root causation model. You may know it as a method for pinpointing the root cause of an accident or system failure, but here's how it works. You start with a problem and then you ask the question why 5 times, with each answer forming the basis for the next question. This helps move past surface level assumptions and exposes what's really going on. So today, we're turning that tool inward. We're not investigating a fall, a spill, or a misstep. We're investigating ourselves, our motivations, our calling, our leadership. So if you're listening right now, I invite you to go beyond the bullet points in your resume. Let's start with asking deeper questions and using a modified 5 Whys for soul searching in safety. Number 1, why did I choose a career in safety? Maybe it was witnessing harm firsthand. Maybe someone didn't speak to you or speak up for you, or you were the one who did. Safety isn't a job that we stumble into, it's a mission that often begins with a moment that we cannot forget. You may want to ask yourself, what did I see, feel, or experience that made safety more than a profession? Number 2, why is preventing harm so personal to me? We all carry stories along our journey. Injuries that could have been prevented, overlooked hazards, ignored voices. The personal part isn't just empathy, it's memory. It's the heartache that drives us to make sure it never happens again. You may ask yourself, what pain do I carry that I became fuel for protection? Number 3, why did specific moments shape my leadership path? We often lead because we survived something, the rejection, the breakthrough, the burnout. All those, quote, moments weren't detours, they were curriculum for the beginning who you are today. Ask yourself, what moments taught me to speak, lead, and protect differently? Number 4, why does protecting underserved workers resonate so deeply? Because in safety, visibility equals survival, and some workers are unseen by design, whether it's language, race, gender, or status. Those who are left out of the conversation are most often left out of our protection. You may want to ask yourself, whose safety gets overlooked and why am I called to change that? Number 5, why do I believe my voice is necessary in today's safety culture? Because silence sustains systems, and because your lived experience, your perspective, your heart makes room for others to feel seen, safe, and valued. We don't just need policies, we need people who understand the weight behind them. You may want to ask yourself this: what happens when I speak up? What happens if I don't? When we use the 5 whys on a broken scaffold, we end up with mechanical answers. But when we use it on our own journey, we uncover meaning, mission, and movement. So I ask you to take 5 minutes and contemplate your 5 whys. Turn your experience into clarity and your clarity into courage. You're not just a safety professional, you are the root cause for change. So here are my 5 whys. Not for an accident, but for me, Sharita. For why I chose the work, why I lead the way I do, and why I believe my voice matters now more than ever. Why did I choose a career in safety? Because safety wasn't abstract for me. It was a dinner table conversation. My father was a corporate safety director. He served on safety boards and lived the work. I got to see up close what it meant to protect lives, shape culture, and be a voice for prevention. That exposure planted a seed in me. It wasn't that I just admired his commitment, I inherited it. Why is preventing harm so personal to me? Because I've seen the fallout. I've witnessed how a single accident can fracture families, shift futures, and leave irreversible loss. Safety isn't just about policies, it's about people. It's about never having to look at a loved one in the eye and explain what could have been done differently. Why did specific moments shape my leadership path? Because these moments reminded me that leadership isn't compliance, it's compassion. Yes, we need regulations and rules, but real safety shows up when people feel seen, supported, and valued. I realized I'm not just here to enforce, I'm here to build a culture of caring. That's the only way to keep workers safe, holistically. Why does protecting underserved workers resonate so deeply? Because every worker, no matter their race, background, language, or role, deserves to feel safe. Safety is a right, not a privilege, and yet we know that underserved workers are often overlooked. Less training, fewer protections, greater exposure. I feel called to disrupt that imbalance. Why do I believe my voice is necessary in today's safety culture? Because I don't speak only for me. I speak for my child and for all the children watching us build this profession. They deserve to know there's space for them there, that they are not outsiders, that this field belongs to them too. And if my lived experience mirrors the very populations most at risk, then my voice isn't optional, it's essential. Okay, now we're going to discuss the challenge of the week. Your mission. This week, I'm inviting you to hit pause and rewind. Whether you're just starting out or you've gotten decades of safety experience and you're a seasoned professional, this challenge is about rediscovering what keeps you rooted. Let's walk through the 5 whys, but apply them to your entire career journey. Here's how it works. First, I'd like for you to start with a question. Why did I choose a career in safety? Take your answer and ask why again. Keep repeating the questions 5 times. Each time you're digging deeper and deeper. Write it down, record a voice memo, or journal it. Notice where your fifth why lands. What's the truth behind that title or beneath the title? This reflective and informative episode, we did more than just review regulations. We turned up the heat on purpose. We begin with a clear breakdown of OSHA's 2025 Heat Injury and Illness Prevention Rule, highlighting why this landmark move matters, especially for vulnerable workers in high risk environments. We discussed required controls and monitoring to reduce heat stress, the role of personal protective equipment or PPE in preventing illness, and how this rule aligns with growing concerns around climate and equity and safety planning. Then we shifted gears to look inward using the 5 whys root cause analysis model. I unpacked the emotional backbone of my own personal safety career. These weren't just questions about policies, they were about purpose. This wasn't just a strategy session, it was a journey. I shared stories from my path, invited listeners to explore their own whys, and closed with a challenge. Identifying the core motivator driving your safety journey and encouraging you to share it. Because knowing why you show up, is how you'll know where you're needed most.
Calling all safety pros, risk leaders, and training champions. If your caffeine game doesn't match your mission, you're sipping from the wrong cup. At Safe Start Strategies, we've brewed up something bold, professionally themed mugs built for those who lead with purpose. Whether you're writing incident reports or running tabletop exercises, your mug should speak your language. Emergency ops fuels for responders on the move. Train safe, lead loud for trainers making a difference. Risk analysis mode on for those crunching numbers and making it safer for the rest. These aren't conference freebies, they're confidence on your desk. Great for certification gifts, team recognition, or just owning your safety swagger. Find your mission mug now at TikTok Shop. Just search Safe Start Strategies, number 4, letter U. Lead the change, lift the mug, let the message show.